Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to tonight's quiz chat. Hi and welcome to tonight's quiz chat, and I'm glad to say that joining us hopefully very soon will be members of tonight's Only Connect teams. And we've got our first comment. Hello, James. Good to have you watching. I'm just shortly going to be bringing Lindsay in from the Whodunnits, and hopefully we'll be joined as we go by other members. Hey, and hello, Grace. Good to have you back. Hope you had a good Christmas and good New Year. So I'm just going to try running this little ticker along the bottom because, hey, why not try all the little tricks available to you? So, yeah. So what a night of quiz action that we had on Only Connect. Quite a blistering final round, which decided two great teams. And Mastermind and University Challenge. So lots and lots to talk about. James is saying congrats to the Whodunnits, brilliant quizzing. So without further ado, I will add Lindsay and Alan to the stream. Welcome both.
Hi.
How was it watching that back?
It was loads of fun. I don't know, but I thought it was just really, really enjoyable, which it normally, I don't know, it was just felt really fun to watch. And it's nice to have forgotten a lot of it and to get to rewatch it. And my favorite moment was the kind of, for us, the Easter egg of the watching their wall, which is always really fun because that's the one part of the show we have not seen. So I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, that's tremendous. And I have to say, I called it on Twitter, but is this a Protestant thing? Was the question of the night. It was absolutely tremendous. It's that sort of spontaneity and sense of fun, though, that you really look for in the teams. It kind of helps liven up the quiz, even if you're struggling at home watching it. So that was good. Yeah, James, a lot of love on Twitter tonight. Looks like you have a lot of dates lined up. There you go.
And yeah, what a time for dating as well.
Indeed. There's so many options open to you. You could go on Zoom, you could go on Teams, you could go all over the place. So I'm hoping that we will have your erstwhile opposition with us tonight. Fingers crossed. They did say they were coming, but we'll see. No, we have Dan and Emma, but we're just. I've sent the link to Dan. I'm just going to check to make sure whether he's received it. He's saying
Emma put on Twitter that she hoped it really came across on the TV just how much fun we had. Because we did. Yeah. I don't really think we stopped laughing at any point because we all just went in and said, this could be it. Let's just really enjoy it. And we really did. But yeah, the Protestant thing, you're never sure if they'll cut something out, but when they left it in, even though I knew it was coming, I still absolutely laughed my head off. I am a very, very proud member of the team and very proud of both my Allens, but Captain Allen and his lightning finger tonight. I can't even deal with it.
Well, we'll probably come on to, we definitely will come on to the lightning finger later. So, but let's keep our powder dry. Dan has messaged me about the link, so Dan will be coming in. Hopefully Emma, hopefully even Mitch. But yeah, I mean, when you get to the knockout stage of a tournament like this, it is kind of like quiz hard for tomorrow. We may be back down the M4 to wherever it is to come from. So you kind of have to make the most out of it in that period of time. And it's such a great experience being on Only Connect, and it's really hard to convey that to people who haven't been on. But the whole experience, both in studio and out of studio, is great. I mean, it's weird for you guys because of the whole COVID thing, but you don't want to let go of it, do you? That's the thing. That's kind of the worst thing about losing. You can cope with losing a game, but going home and having other people carry on. That was the thing that narked me anyway.
Yeah.
We got a comment here from James. Questions on Twitter for Alan asking if he lived in France with the amazing fast answers in missing vowels.
I actually did. So my undergrad is in journalism and French, heavy on the journalism, light on the French, but I did do a semester in Toulouse. So I think something jumped out. I think I had it in my head when the thing came up. I think the idea of it being not in our language cycled through my head when the category came up. So I think that's why I was so happy when St. Swithin's Day came up, because I love St. Swithin's Day because of The Simpsons. I don't know what St. Swithin's Day is. I just know that it appears in The Simpsons.
It doesn't matter how you know, as long as you know, though. That's the thing. So yeah, excellent. Just to update people, Dan, the captain of Walruses, is asking me on various media for the link. So hopefully he will be able to join us before too long. But for those who haven't joined us before, if you put a comment in the chat, as Grace has and as James has a few times, then we'll be able to see them, pop them up, and answer them. So, yeah, I'm trying to save some of the little nuggets for when we've got your opposition.
I was going to say, I'm going to cover Beat the Chasers, because I was going to segue. When I was on the chase, I think I got a history question wrong. It was something around Peter Snow or whatever his name is. And I said, I get all my history from Quantum Leap and The Simpsons and things like that, and Blackadder. But Beat the Chasers this week, I mean, brilliant viewing, but very weird. Some weird offers, some weird, like, the seconds that they gave them was just strange in some of the offers. And some of the opening questions, there was some of an absolute stinker. The salami strategy and pizza policy one. I would have put pizza policy because taking a piece at a time. Salami, you don't think of salami all the time. That felt like a really mean first question that they wanted someone to go out.
I suppose they have to, if they're having that whole game mechanic of answering questions to get some money to then put up, they've got to try and introduce some jeopardy. But I'm not really sure what it really serves when you don't actually get that much money under your belt anyway beforehand. And last night, there was one where there was like between the first offer and the highest offer, there was only like 3 or 4 seconds between like $2,000 and $100,000. So it was a peculiar set of offers, but sometimes you wonder whether they want people to win or whether they don't think people will have a chance, and they adjust it accordingly. I guess they need a certain amount of wins to kind of keep the interest up.
And there's some people who go on to just go for the high money, and when we watch the actual show, we call it Quizzy Monday. When somebody goes for the high amount, even though they know they've got a cat in hell's chance of getting it, it's that Quizzy Monday, I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory. But I particularly liked Mark. I think it was Mark who said £60,000 says you're an idiot, which I particularly liked when he said it. And there was a guy who came on and he was in the Quiz League London. No offence, Dan. And it's one of those things where when you're not from London, we have other quiz leagues, but the fact that Mark didn't laugh at the end just made me laugh. It's such a great show, and I don't know what they're going to do with Dara if he's going to be in the next one, whether they'll have all 6 or whether they'll have them take turns, or it's going to be, I can't wait to see what they do with it.
It will be interesting. Welcome, Dan, by the way. We were just chatting about Beat the Chasers whilst we waited to see if you were coming. Do we know if Emma and Mitch
Emma's got a techie problem. It says, my computer doesn't support this software. She's seeing what she can do. And I haven't heard from Mitch. It says, your browser doesn't support SteamYard technology. Hang on. You carry on.
It might be a case of just changing it, trying a different browser. James said, Beat the Chasers eliminates the advantage of being a good quizzer as they don't give you as many seconds advantage. So actually better to be a poor quizzer and get a better advantage. It's probably better to be an unknown quizzer. Somebody who is good but just not known to the powers that be, because then you might get a more generous offer than you otherwise would. But it's a great show. I mean, ideally, what you want is the chaser and the contestant going neck and neck, and there being like a second or so in it, depending on who wins. And we had that a few times this series, so that was really enjoyable, I thought.
It's that mistake of watching the clock, though. I've recently rewatched season 1 of the original Magnum PI, and I won't go into the reasons why. Tom's telling me.
Was that the one where he went on a quiz show and he
No, but whenever he's picking a lock or he's trying to get into the Ferrari, yeah, in the beginning, the dogs are coming at him and he's saying, concentrate on the lock, don't look at the dogs. And it's that thing of just listen to the questions. That's going to tick by as quick as it's going to tick by. But it's really, it's really hard if you're not kind of practiced at that. I've got to focus. But it's just great TV. It's just brilliant. I mean, they're all great with personalities. A friend of mine said on Stephen Dodding, which most of you'll know, put on Facebook, he said, with all of these Chaser spin-offs, I don't think I'm out of order to say that Sean might be the next Doctor Who.
Indeed. Interesting.
They've given up on Egghead spin-offs, you notice.
Yeah. Question from James. James is doing great guns tonight. How many seconds advantage would you want to take on all 5 chasers? Dan, how ballsy would you be feeling on this?
Well, frankly, I'm not entirely sure it makes that much difference how many chasers you've got, because I think they all know, they all know so much that you're not. There's no real advantage to not having Paul there, for example. So I'd want about 10 seconds, I think.
Welcome, Emma.
Hi,
you made it. We're just talking about Beat the Chasers, but welcome joining us. We're waiting. Hopefully, Dan says Mitch is on his way, so hopefully we'll have the almost full.
He's always late.
But no, I mean, it was Beat the Chasers was great. It's interesting the way they strip it across a week rather than having a weekly thing. I think that does kind of give it a little bit of momentum.
It's event television.
It is, yeah. And we do need a bit of event.
By the way, you're talking about Beat the Chasers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was very interested watching yesterday's show that they seemed to sort of gear up that final guy. They clearly wanted him to go for 100 grand. It was really interesting how they just flashed the seconds that they were offering to him, which was a bit rough on the other contestants, I thought.
Indeed. I mean, I knew 2 of the contestants earlier in the series, both through, forgive me, Lindsay, the Quiz League of London. Amy Godel and Sam Veal, both brilliant quizzers, and they both got quite tough offers, which kind of pushed them into going for something a little bit more dicey, I think, because the producers knew how good they were, and neither made it back. So, but it's a good show because actually, all you need is one moment like where the chaser presses in and gets it wrong, and then one of them has happened between Jenny and Paul. They end up staring daggers and forgetting another question's being asked, and it's not just the contestants who can have a funny 5 minutes.
Oh, is that why Paul's been posting pictures of him and Jenny all day getting on?
Oh yeah, because the gutter press have been trying to make column inches out of it.
Yeah,
and that's the thing with the 5 chasers. You see, if Jenny was the 5th chaser, I would go for 4 because Jenny's the pop culture queen. So the others all know things, but Jenny is the woman. I particularly enjoyed the very last second buzz she did on the last show, where it was 1 second to go, and it was which sitcom she just wasn't at, Friends.
Yes.
It wasn't the answer, but you just know it was 90% chance it would have been.
Jenny's very, very quick. I did a buzzer quiz. I did a buzzer quiz against her on Saturday, and she's
great. But that was just classic for me. That was. It's hard. I get it's hard as well because they're used to being on their own. To sit back and let someone else buzz must be really tough.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the problem, isn't it? If you're on your own buzzing, you just know you either have to go for it or not. But when you're waiting, thinking so and so might know it, you can have that pause, which each time, which on the normal chase can kill teams because they're waiting for somebody else to make a decision. This time, it's the chasers being like that. So it's
having a passing strategy is the best way to lose on the chase.
Somebody called Norman has said something which I completely don't agree with, so he can block. We don't want negativity on the forum about people who I like and aren't here, and who would be able to put them down quite convincingly if they were. So no room for bullies. Talking of which, before we get to Only Connect, there were some trolls out in Mastermind earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it, but you know the typical ones who basically kind of just pick on somebody's appearance or whatever, and we tried to slap them down a little bit ourselves, as we always try and do. Emma, you must come across a lot of trolls in your kind of professional career. Have you had anything from your quizzing side of things?
I get it all day, every day.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely immune to it. I've had a swathe of abuse. Just now on Twitter. I'm just completely used to it. This is my life. This is my day-to-day existence. But it's the thing is, it doesn't upset in the least, because I've come to understand after all these years of being on social media is that it's actually not personal. These people don't know you. They don't know who you are. The only people whose opinion of me matters are people who I know and who I love and who I value. And
that's good, because you can see what they say about you on Parlay.
Being called names by someone I've never met who hates me because I don't agree with Brexit, it just literally I have Teflon skin. It just bounces off. It's meaningless. They just need someone to shout at. There are people on the internet who just need people to shout at, and
they do it to make themselves feel better about themselves. And you're right. It's I think it was. Although I do quite like that on Only Connect, you get a slightly different level of troll. They're not quite as mean as they maybe are on some other series.
All the vowels are missing. That's what. That's
something wrong with it.
They may be trolls, but they're on brand. Yeah. I think we'll I know Mitch is on his way, but we'll kind of start off with the big revelation. Did you guys know about the mystery writer before tonight?
Oh, I didn't spot that.
See that there was a comment, I think, after the darts question about a mystery writer or a mystery question writer. And then looking at the question writers list, as I rather nerdily always do, a certain Lee Mack was a question author. So,
that's why they put it in our show. I bet that's why they put it in our show. Because when we auditioned, they said, "Oh, could you do this audition date?" And immediately Emma came back and said, "No, I can't do that date. I'm doing Not Going Out."
I was.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and then we were thinking that Lee Mack had just seen me play darts in the working men's club on a Sunday and thought he'd write the question.
But it didn't work for either team, so.
So yeah, I mean that was one of my favourite moments. Victoria did tweet about it as well. Mitch is coming in. I can't see his camera on at the moment, but he is. I'm going to add him to the stream no matter what. And when his camera,
come on, Mitch, I know you're not shy. Get your camera on.
You can do it.
So yeah, that was a cute little revelation. That's to be sure.
The harshest thing my friends said about the show was that they were annoyed that Mitch's voice drowned out my beautiful singing.
That's unfortunate.
A fulsome rendition of Holly and the Ivy.
It really was.
From most.
I mean, it looks like we got Mitch, and it looks like he's doing a very good impression of a statue. So that might be something about his connection.
He looks yes.
Yes, he's not usually that still.
But yeah, I I don't know, Mitch, if you can
indicate once for yes, twice for no.
Okay.
Anyway, favorite questions. What came up this week that you particularly enjoyed in the episode?
Do you know what? My favorite questions have been coming up on everyone else's shows. Yeah, I mean, they had my question. They had my, the one that came up, Brian Blessed. And as soon as it said Brian Blessed, I said, oh, that'll be Derek Jacobi. But it wasn't our show, unfortunately.
We kept saying, oh, they haven't had this type of question yet. So when we were kind of revising, we were saying they haven't had this type of word one or this type of whatever. And only when we're watching them now do we realise that's because they were in all the other shows in between.
I think the question that we encountered along the way was the little itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, which was one of those where you end up absolutely kicking yourself the minute. But that was a brilliant and perfect only connect question, I thought.
My favorite from tonight was not because I got it on the bounce over, but was the descending syllables and ascending letters, because I think.
Did you see my face when you got it? I
see my face when you got it.
Excited for you, and I was thinking, look at the state of me cheering on the other team.
It just showed the level of camaraderie that there was on that set. Actually, I think that's good thing.
I think it was.
That illustrates something I said before, which is that if you look at the early series, and if you look at the people who won those early series, like David Stainer and William Douth, who I quiz with, and so on, they're all really good straight quizzers. I'm a pretty good straight quizzer. I'm not as good as them, but I'm okay as a straight quizzer. But it's not that sort of show anymore. It's a puzzle show, and I think if you know about the syllables and letters thing, then yes, you're absolutely right. Strengths is one of those things that comes up time and time again, but you have to have that experience to do well on Native Connect now.
I think I've said it many times over the course of our time with the show, Lindsay, but I know less than Lindsay and Alan. As in, I'm comfortable saying that I'm not as much of a seasoned quizzer. I quiz a lot, but I'm not like, I don't know as much as you two. But my hope was that if I can just look laterally as much as possible, and then hopefully you guys can fill in the information.
It's fine with adapting because you filtered. I mean, Alan here, if he does join, he's a walking Rolodex of just stuff, and we were constantly astounded when we were practicing at the things that he just pulled out of his mouth. People like, but Alan he filters those things, and that's what you need. And it's why we I mean, I've said before, we were a team of individuals, but I don't think I ever got so lucky since I got put on a blind date with my husband to be put with a couple of guys. Although that was only one guy, not a couple of guys on that.
Did you know your husband was going on a blind date?
Yes.
By the way, we had a message from Mitch that he can't hear anything and he keeps buffering, so we may not.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. He's kind of he's buffering again. I mean, interesting, Alan, because as I was saying earlier before, I think Emma and Dan joined. I thought the is this a Protestant thing was the question of the night, and but I think that answer, the ascending descending thing, probably the answer of the night for me. It's just my brain was stretching every which way trying to get to that one, and I was having a good night actually in general watching.
That's a question but the weird thing about that question was that the fact that strengths has 9 letters and 1 syllable goes through my head like once a week. It's a fact that I really enjoy.
So we've actually talked about it when we've been revising, and somebody said, I don't know if it was last week or another one, that nothing they'd revised had come up, whereas we had Escape from New York, I think, was one of the missing vowels. Films set in the future that were in the past now, which we talked about a number of times, and then there was strength, so we didn't do too bad.
We had some singing, and
sorry,
saying we're as we're speaking, we're giving Mitch some IT support.
Come on, Dan, that's your job.
He's going to try the phone.
Try the phone. phone. Anyway,
so Saeed Boogaloo, which has to be one of the best surnames ever. So what was the other version of the Holly and the Ivy? Did you ever find out? I mean,
Lily has been posting it, actually.
I've never known one other than the tune that we sang.
There's Lydia Misen saying it's
a jazz version.
It's not a rap.
Ivy, that one. Everyone knows it.
See, now I'm just imagining Ron Burgundy coming on above you with a flute.
Yeah, with a jazz flute.
We might have some luck. Here's Mitch. And he's moving.
That's a bit better. Is that better for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
You like to make an entrance, don't you, Mitch?
Cool, right. I'm on the phone, so I can hardly see anybody, but hang on. You're all very small. Is there any way of doing it so that it sort of does that thing that Zoom does, where it just shows who's talking?
Good question. I think there's all sorts of ways that I can do it.
Okay. It seemed to just default to it there, so okay.
Just assume
But I think that might just be me. I don't know if anybody else speaks, whether they pop up.
Yes.
Just you.
Just you.
Just me. And it's not all about me.
You know what we look like.
Mitch, you missed the revelation earlier.
What's that?
The darts question was written by Mr. Lee Mack.
You can believe it.
So yes, so the comment by Victoria about the mystery question writer, he was in the question writers list. So so there we go. And so he's not the first. We've had Daniel Radcliffe. I'm sure there've been others who've from the celebrity world. Yes.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we've been, as I'm sure you guys have, we spent basically the last 2 years setting questions for each other. So we've got, a hell of a backlog if they're running low on questions. Because, we've before I discovered Puzzgrid, I was like submitting walls as PDFs, So, we got plenty of, I'd love to set questions for the show. I mean, that, if anything, that's because my only, my only regret. I mean, we actually said on the day that we got no regrets about going out when we went onto you guys. I think we would have felt a bit crushed if we'd gone out on the first day.
Thank you for that, Mitch.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I am very aware of this, as indeed is now the nation. But I think we would have been a bit crushed if we gone out the first day. We got no problem going out the way we did. But my only problem is, I just really love playing the game.
Yeah,
I just love playing the game, and kind of so not only being asked back for holiday specials notwithstanding, do I not get to play the game anymore? But because I think we were kind of burnt out on it, we haven't been playing the game with each other since October either. So it's we should probably start doing that again, apropos of nothing much.
Yeah.
Because I just really enjoy playing it, because it's
there is a Connections quiz league that is starting up where they're basically playing the Only Connect format. So that could be your way to get a fix. But I absolutely understand your the sense of loss, because I was series 10 and I've been watching enviously as everybody's come since, and thinking, yeah, I should be there, and watching all the people invited back, thinking, yeah, damn them.
It's like when you watch a box set and it's brilliant and you tell everyone about it, and you watch them knowing you're never going to be able to watch it for the first time again.
Yeah.
I am dreading next series.
Yeah. Yeah, it is bad, but it takes about 3 series later, you can forgive people for getting on, so it's fine. Mitch and Emma, you've been in the odd position of doing, being celebrities on shows, but in this case, you were civilians on the show.
Yep.
Did you have any qualms about kind of putting yourself out there and going on a regular episode rather than a special?
No, none at all. From my point of view, because they don't do a celebrity version of Only Connect. But even if they did,
they've done like celebrity one-off for Children in Need and shit, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think they do for comic relief, but it's they do. But I wanted to do the normal version of Only Connect.
Mm-hmm.
because I love the show. And my entire career has never been about doing something for the sake of doing it. I mean, honestly, I could make your toes curl telling you things I've turned down in the past. But I only ever do things because I want the experience of doing them.
Yeah, I was kind of wary of.
This was one of the. I wanted to do it. I wanted to have the experience.
Yeah, me too. I just wanted to get on and play the game. As simple as that. I just love playing the game at home. I'm completely addicted to playing the game. Never miss it. When we put the show together, I sort of, because I think pretty much all of it is on YouTube, and I rewatched all of it. I just find the game completely addictive. I was slightly wary that we were going to get snark, and we got a bit of snark. And you feel like, you should never justify yourself, but I feel like pointing out that, we applied the same as everybody else, and it took us 2.5 years to get on, and it's not like they went, step this way. And if anything, we were slightly nervous about the fact that, because Emma knows Victoria quite well, and we were just wondering that, when that came to light, if we were going to get our asses kicked off. I
kept from her for 2.5 years.
Yeah,
and I remember the last time I saw her, it was at the Comic Relief 24-hour dance-a-thon that we did with Claudia and Tess, and she came along, and I knew at that point that I was doing it, and she started talking to me about the next series of Only Connect and what the time, and at that point she didn't think that there was going to be another series of Only Connect, and I was telling her, don't be ridiculous, of course there's going to be series of Only Connect, knowing full well that I knew there was going to be another series of Only Connect because I was in it. And I kept it, and I didn't tell her. And I was really annoyed because I didn't want her to know until she walked out onto the studio floor. But I got a text from her, I think about 4 weeks before we were about to go on, and she'd been given a packet with all the teams and their faces and their photographs on and everything. And she said to me, when she got to our page and she saw me and Mitch, she just sat there and went, really? Really? She thought it was a joke. And it's like, no, it's not a joke. She texted me, she said, are you really doing it? And I went, yes, I am really doing it. Yeah.
I feel like though it's a show that's kind of, I feel like there's a bulletproofness to the idea of casting celebrities because it's just the type of show that would never ever do that. Like it's like they would never give a leg up like that.
But also, the celebrities and then the celebrities. I mean, one of the names that we contemplated for the team was the Z-listers on the basis that we're famous people you've never heard of.
Yes.
And I had a Chantal Houghton joke, but I couldn't use that.
I did think, you know what? I did think about that, actually. It's one of the countdowns. Yeah. The Chantal Houghton series of Celebrity Big Brother, where she went in as a nobody and told them to be a celebrity. Brilliant.
I've got Alan waiting, and now it's telling me I can only have 6 people maximum, so I might have to rotate people around if that's all right, which is annoying. It wants me to pay more money. So, sort of the way, isn't it? Lindsay, I'm going to rotate you out briefly and then we'll kind of bring you back in. Sorry. And Alan, welcome. Can you hear us?
Very dark room.
So Saeed was saying, agree with what you mentioned earlier. You all look like you're having a rollickingly good amount of fun. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to with Only Connect. You enjoy playing the game. You're being waved at, Alan. So, missing vowels wise, we've got 2 players on the screen tonight who have had awesome performances this series, and going into that last missing vowels round, based on what we'd seen, it was plausible either side could win.
But we'd already been well intimidated during the rehearsal. So,
also, it's worth bearing in mind that I hit a couple of very lucky categories on that one where I actually myself. I know I don't look like somebody who knows a lot about scuba diving, but I do actually know quite a lot about scuba diving. So when scuba equipment came up, I think I had a massive advantage there because I think I was literally the only person in the room who knew what he was looking at.
Yeah.
And I think then once I'd done that whole round, I think then this kind of, I think Alan probably experiences as well. This feeling, people go, "Oh shit," you know, and once you've got that sort of psychological edge, then I think people start to panic. You know what I mean? And then they start, then they start hitting it when they, and that's how you get Rob Brydon and Brian,
which is entirely fair as a guest, like.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that was critical was Whodunnits didn't let Walruses get a run going on the buzzer, which I think once you get some momentum, it really can make a difference, can't it?
I think there's an element of like, my biggest fear with missing vowels is that it will just be a category that I know nothing about. If it's in any way knowable, I think I'm fine with it.
Can you hear me?
Yes. But I think it's that thing of if something popped up and it was just not happening, I think I would end up buzzing in anyway and losing a point. I think we were quite lucky in that whenever I buzzed, I was like, okay, I think it will hit my brain in the time allowed because it's knowable.
There's that amazing Mercredi and Vendredi, was it, or something French? It was amazing. Amazing that you did that.
Grace is a fan of the Rob Brydon and Brian answer.
Yeah.
Also, if you watching it tonight, I noticed I was about a quarter second behind you on the buzzer on pretty much all of them. You're just faster on the buzzer. My buzzer technique's terrible. I completely fucked up University Challenge with my shitty buzzer technique.
But that's the critical thing that people don't realise. We talked about it before, that when you're watching at home, you're seeing the clues before the people in the studio see them.
Yeah.
So you might think you've got it before people, and then with the wide shot, you see both teams going for the buzzer at the same time.
Shitty and Vendredi.
So, yeah.
I think there's also, I think the multiple buzzers, which is obviously because the world is on fire, is actually, I think really helpful because there was, I think it will happen in the future. Maybe it's already happened. It's definitely actually where I started speaking and Alan Hay finished the clue for me because I was like stuck in the middle of a sentence, and the idea that the other person has buzzed in as well, so they kind of know that the team has it. That can be very, very handy.
I'd be very interested if we ever got to go back, if we ever get invited back to go post-COVID without the screens and the earpieces and everything, and just see what it's like without all of that.
Yeah, it's
and funny. You have one buzzer.
I think this about all the people who are sort of doing things that are once in a lifetime experiences, but they're doing it in COVID, so they're not having the full experience. That I felt that about all the people who were doing Strictly this year.
Yeah,
and sad that must be for them that's a once in a lifetime experience, but they're not having the full experience. But I guess because Only Connect isn't done in front of an audience or anything like that, the only difference I suspect we had was that we had screens up, so we didn't do badly, I suppose.
Well, so I was just waiting for some punter to notice the earpieces and come over all queuing on about it. You know what I mean? Fucking do it. You know?
Yeah, we're Victoria. We all yeah.
Yes, we're being fed the answers by a paedophile ring.
That didn't happen.
I think off the back of what you were saying there, Emma, though, I think on the one hand, obviously it's a slightly different version of what you would normally get in On Connect, but it was an amazing highlight for such a crappy year to like have the thrill of going to Cardiff, the thrill of staying in a hotel, the thrill of meeting people I hadn't met before. It was phenomenal.
I was absolutely giddy in the holding room when we I was so excited to see her work with my wife. It was so unbelievable. And it was the two times I went up there, those are still the only two times I have left my village since March.
We have a letter. We got a letter saying we were essential workers.
Yeah.
I think we provided.
That's stretching the definition.
Pay for yourself, Mitch. I think you'll find we were, fairly essential.
Gareth, all of us, we had to carry a letter in case we were stopped by the police trying to drive into Wales.
Yes. After our papers.
Incredible.
Yeah. I tucked it into my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. badge that I have.
Hello, Miles. Well, it's done, I think, basically with just a straightforward edit, because there's quite a long time between the two walls. For a start, that tonight is the first time I saw the Whodunnits wall in this episode, because you're not in the room. That's why, because I'm sure you'll have noticed that every now and again the two walls are kind of a piece. They kind of have a similar category from each one, and watching that as a viewer, you sometimes think, well, whoever's going second has got a massive advantage because they've basically all got variations of the same category. You're not in the room when the opposing team does their wall. You get ushered out and back into the dressing room. Miles, hello, Miles.
And you try your hardest to not give anything away, especially if you've done well.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, is you don't know how the other team did until Victoria announces the scores at the beginning of the missing vowels round.
So
that's quite tense. But yeah, as regards the cut, it's just a cunning cut. It's just they cut in mid-turn from Vicky going to team 1 to the camera to team 2. Somewhat, I don't know in which of those turns, but in either the turn away from team 1 to the camera or the turn from the camera back to team 2, there's a cut. All right.
I always thought it was like one of those things at the 10-pin bowling alley,
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like team 1 run away very quickly and quietly, and team 2 sort of shuffle into place in the time it takes Victoria to say. And next up,
it's like West Side Story. We all go off and we like this as we walk past each other in the corner.
Yes.
But you are literally kept completely sequestered off whilst one team's doing the wall. You're not allowed to see it, hear it. You're not meant to talk in passing or anything like that, because it's quite a small studio, but they do a good job of keeping you apart, so you can't gain any advantage going into that wall.
One thing I was going to say about the wall was I think that, because I know that Lindsay, you desperately wanted to touch the wall as one does, but I think that there is an advantage to one person being solely responsible for cycling through things. It never gets complicated. I found that, and especially because, again, I think with Lindsay and Alan knowing more, I could concentrate on that, and they could just start shouting everything that they knew, and that was really helpful to go. It's only one head down. The other two are still talking, still coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Put a lot of pressure on you though, but we were lucky. You were able to listen and do the cycling, which, I mean, Dan, I'm sure you found it the same. It's quite a challenge when you're trying to have your own thoughts as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and bring Alan in again. This could be a feature of the day, one way or another. And see, Alan, can you hear us this time?
Yeah. See.
Oh, no, he's kind of in slow motion again. Alan, we love it that you're here. We could conceivably love it more if we could hear from you, but
I think I've got a really bad connection.
Oh, there we go.
That's better.
Yeah, I think you do. But yeah, congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing. Oh, he's gone on mute now. We're looking forward to seeing you guys in the next round. We're just reflecting on the experience of it. Was this your first TV, Alan? No? Oh, you're on mute. The classic
Alan,
Zoom.
unmute yourself.
Wonder if I can do it. I'm going to unmute him. There you go. Oh, no. No, his mic isn't connected, apparently. So, well, this is live TV, as they say. But Mitch, you had a storming episode on anything to do with music today, as people would probably have a preconception that you would, but
it's kind of incumbent upon me, although not as much as when Emma and I did Eggheads.
And we're not heavy now.
I suppose it technically is my crowning quizzing achievement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kicking Kevin's ass on Eggheads because we're actually in the room We talked about this with the production assistant, and we said any tips, and they said if you're going to stand a chance in the last round, you've got to get Kevin out of the game. And we said, how do you get Kevin out of the game? And they said his one weak spot is music, and it was the first category that came up was music, and they said. And Artie went nominate Mitch, and I said nominate Kevin, and so yeah, and I managed to get Kevin out in the first round. But no, it's always an immense relief to me when I know the music question because I'm going to look a twat if I don't. Basically, it's kind of my principal function on the team is to know about music. But yeah, in this and in the University Challenge, I got all good music questions.
There was that flash of inspiration you had on the music round. It's tricky, and then right at the death, you got complicated. It was like you could see
difficult. Yeah.
I was so angry because I had it at tricky. I was like, it must be something to do with difficulty. And then when Avril Lavigne popped in, I was like,
I'm trying to remember if there's one of those for you that we got early on and were desperately hoping you wouldn't get, and then you did get. Oh yeah, the publications one.
Yeah.
The yearly, monthly, weekly, daily. I think we got that.
We got
that second one, much as you did, I think. And we're like, no. But I think there weren't that many in this one. But I think in both the previous two shows, there were ones that we could have got early.
Oh, the one for our first game was the absolute that is that we knew all of our opposition's questions.
Yeah.
And we
and hardly any of ours.
Hardly any of ours. It's really interesting. Yeah.
We've got Grace has just said with the week US has just had. Just want to say thank you for the streams. Great having something nice and fun with all that's happening. That's good. Good to see. Saeed has asked a question. We talked about it before, but did you have to submit multiple facts about yourself for the intro?
Can I just put the record straight? I do not have a plastic spoon collection. I stole a significant number of plastic spoons from one particular airline because they were really good. I don't think I've got one nearby. I got one on a KLM flight, and it was the best plastic spoon I'd ever had.
Yeah.
I had my sleeves, they wouldn't collect them. Just many from one airline. That's not. My friends were like,
the elf one that Victoria told about me today was not one that I had submitted about myself. It was one she chose off her own back. because I had turned up to Miranda Hart's birthday party dressed as an elf, and I was the only person that was in fancy dress because I had erroneously believed that it was a fancy dress.
It's so Miranda Hart.
Yeah, it's ironically like a plot line from Miranda, isn't it?
I'm trying to remember what my three were. The same stunt double as Vin Diesel is I was in one episode of the last season of Merlin for about 20 seconds. And I played the leader of a gang of bandits who tried to rob Colin in the forest. And Colin knocks me on my ass with his magic eyeballs. And the bit of me jumping up in the air I had to do myself, but the bit of me sailing backwards through the air was done by an ex-soldier called Guy, who is now a stunt performer. And he told me his first ever stunt job was when Vin Diesel gets blown up in Private Ryan. That was him. So I did briefly have the same stunt double as Vin Diesel, which I think is quite fun. I can't. Yeah, I mean, they asked us for it. It's not even a form. They phone you up and sort of engage you in a sort of a long informal chat about interesting facts about yourself. And I can't even remember. So yeah, I'm sure. I mean, well, the thing is, obviously, as you now know, Syed, we only got to do the 3 shows, and they want enough interesting facts about you for 5 or 6.
They didn't want to use my favourite.
Yeah. What's that?
They didn't want to use my favourite at all, which was being invited home by a serial killer.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I think
Dan got chatted up by Dennis Nielsen in a pub in 1982.
Yeah. I think my one was I was given a spatula by Gillian Anderson.
Oh, that's worth it.
Yeah, a spatula, a really big spatula by Gillian Anderson. That was my Christmas present.
She's trying to tell you something. The truth is out there, you know.
Just to answer SQZ, and that's meant to be hello to follow up. Yes, we do read the YouTube chat whilst it's going on. We're looking for people's questions. You know, you've got an opportunity here to ask people who've been on the show tonight anything that you want to know backstage or anything you thought that was brilliant tonight. You've got an opportunity to put it to everybody. And thanks everybody for giving up your time. I know there's so many things we could be out and about doing. And
not really.
Really. Just something popped into my head that caused me to kind of shrivel on the couch when I was watching this evening is that there's a moment in the second round, I think it is, where you see my hand creeping towards the buzzer when I'm about to say next. And I had my hand on the buzzer and I was about to hit it for next. And then I went, oh, it was like a mystical hand thing happened. And I remember at the time being like, don't be the guy who buzzes when he meant to say next.
The guy who breaks the buzzer.
I also broke the buzzer twice.
One of the best things in that episode weren't filmed because Alan broke the buzzer, so we had to wait for him to fix it. And we ended up having some right chats in between, so loads of good stuff that didn't go on air.
That's true.
Lots of love for Korean Air's cutlery. Quite right.
There's stuff that went on air that I didn't think would, like the Mary Berry anecdotes. I was fairly sure that was destined for the cutting room floor. I can't believe that went out.
Berry on her knees is an image that stuck with me.
Is she litigious? I don't know.
No, it's not litigious. I have seen her dress.
There was one moment that came up in that you file in the. It doesn't matter how you know it. There's no shame, only points. And that was, again, Mitch, when you got the connection based on knowing Busted did Crash the Wedding.
I used to have the same drummer as Busted. Tash Bayliss, first drummer in Mitch Ben and the Distractions, also plays on a whole bunch of Busted tracks. And I actually met Busted once when I was doing a thing I used to do at Radio 2. When I meant it, yeah, fuck it, I was just saying now. I used to be Ask Elvis on Steve Right in the Afternoon. There you go. It doesn't like they're ever going to do it again. I wasn't supposed to tell anybody at the time, but yeah, that was me. And one time I was on my way out and Busted were on their way in. And the only thing I remember about Busted is on TV, they used to look like a normal-sized guy and two little guys.
Yeah.
They're two normal-sized guy and one 7-foot monster. Charlie, the good-looking one, is literally 7 feet tall. And the other two are sort of a perfectly normal height. But yeah, Busted. The thing is, oddly enough, the B-side of Crash the Wedding is on my Christmas playlist, which is their version of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, which I really like because it's extremely fun and silly.
If you said Holly and Ivy, we could have assumed that was the other version everybody was talking about.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I like that after it started with the idea of you being embarrassed, you've actually come at this fact from several different angles.
Yeah.
Now that we know that you're Ask Elvis,
yeah.
Can we also reveal that Emma used to be the Stig on Top Gear?
Yeah, I was kind of Radio 2 Stig for a while there.
I was the banker on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
Can I just share some breaking news with you?
What's that?
Because it's hilarious. So you know the fake Viking fella who...
Yeah.
Oh, him. Yeah, Jake Angeli. Yeah.
He has just made his first court appearance for charges related to storming the US Capitol. Here comes the best bit.
Yeah.
His mother says he hasn't eaten since Friday because the detention facility won't feed him organic food. Who saw that?
Amazing.
It's entitlement as an art form, isn't it?
Yeah. His mum.
His mum.
There's a lot of mums flying around. I saw a woman earlier who kicked her daughter out because she went to a Black Lives Matter protest, and now the daughter has found her at the Capitol.
Yes.
Well, the other one, the guy who was spotted with all the handcuff ties.
Yeah.
He was with his mum.
He was there with his mum. Yeah.
With his mum.
Yeah, he was there with his mum. Yeah.
I tell you what, if people had a brain, it'd be really dangerous. Anyway.
Hello, Miles.
Yeah.
When
My
did
mum chipped in again.
Certainly, I've been a viewer since the BBC 4 days. It might have taken me a season or so to discover it.
Same
But
here.
I've certainly been into it since the BBC 4 days. Yeah. I remember thinking to myself, well, this is never going to last. This is way too esoteric. I love it. But this show is made with me in mind, but I can't imagine it's ever going to find its crowd.
I watched it. I was really lucky in that I didn't catch it early on. So I think I started watching it about 7 or 8 years ago. So there was an amazing 3-month period where I just watched episodes every day, all day long. So I had 7 or 8 series to binge, which was phenomenal.
Excellent.
It's the best quiz show. It's the best.
Oh, I've just been reminded.
When we did 15 to 1 was when I first met Stephen Doddin, and he mentioned it. So I went back to watch it because he'd been on it. And then that was it. And then as I went back, I realised there were other people I'd met. So Dave Bill was on one, and Alex James. And it was it was just, as soon as you watch that first episode, that's it, addicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, talking about questions that are on other shows that you wish you'd got, I've just been reminded that last week on the wall, when they were going Forest of Arden, Forest of Arden, Forest of Arden, I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, because you used to work for him.
I used to work for.
I knew Don Arden because I'm a rock. But put it this way: you see a wall with the word Napier Bell on it. There is literally only one thing that can be. It's rock managers.
Yeah.
I don't think the name Napier-Bell has ever occurred anywhere other than Simon Napier Bell, the legendary rock manager. So once you see that, then you're looking at rock managers. But yeah, I was thinking that because I obviously knew Don Arden, but you worked for Don Arden, didn't you?
Yeah. The most unpleasant man I've ever known.
I know.
Yeah,
apparently,
that's not what I've heard. Yeah. Grace is she's obviously from America. She's referring to the story we just heard from Emma. The most US thing I've heard. Oh Lord. Great. I'm just looking at my notes to see what else struck me. That the walls I felt were pretty balanced, but the one that surprised me was on the Walruses wall. The places on the Thames felt a little bit mundane. When you look at
I was staring at that and thinking, oh, it can't just be places off the M4.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that. It was so mundane. I didn't even think to say it out loud.
Well,
and then it sort of was that.
Yeah, I think we overthought that. But then again, looking at this season, there's been a couple of walls that I've thought, I'm not excited because it wasn't one where the category was people who drive red cars. I'm going to think, oh, fuck off. But anyway, but
there's always been questions that elicited that reaction. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's literally we were overthinking it. It couldn't be as simple as just towns in. I'm not sure I would have got along the Thames, but there seemed to be. Rather than just being the names of towns, it seemed like there should be something deeper going on, but no, there wasn't. I think you can see that in our reaction.
On all of our walls, we always missed the last group.
Yeah, which is really annoying. But there've been
all three, but always got
there've been a couple of walls this series where there was the one that was it all rabbits, and you just think, wow, that was a really, really hard wall for that stage in the competition.
Yeah.
I can't remember when that was. It was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? The one that had it was loads and loads and loads of rabbits or references to rabbits in it. There was about 7.
Yeah. Yes, there were. There were 7 rabbits in there.
Yeah.
No, that shouldn't be allowed.
No, not at first round, second round.
Did you notice that the Golden Apples of Eris turned up on University Challenge as well?
Yes.
I didn't see University Challenge. I was otherwise engaged. But yeah, I was otherwise. But that was one of those categories that I would have got very early on. I was one a couple of weeks ago, and it was sort of loose definitions of jobs, and it was all the labours of Heracles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because it started up like one cleaning job, and I thought that'll be the Aegean stables.
But you just need that flash of kind of inspiration. Otherwise, you just don't see it, do you? And then it just becomes impenetrable.
In fairness, I don't think there's been a question that I've seen back of ours that we didn't get that I thought to myself, we totally should have got that. With the post, I'll tell you what, it's the one with me on fucking Gogglebox. The one I'm fucking up on Goggle. I'm genuinely annoyed that I was on Gogglebox. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be on fucking Gogglebox. I wasn't people say, "Were you consulted?" I wasn't even fucking informed. I only knew when people started to make your own Gogglebox fucking up and only connect. Oh, terrific! You know, it's
my second time.
Yeah, that's the only one we should have got. It's the one about measurements that aren't. Like the subway footlong and the Royal Mile and the Mile High Club. We should have got that one. We went too early. And that's the only, I think that's the only one which I think is worth kicking ourselves over. We should have got that one.
Yeah.
Tactics play a role in Only Connect. Briefly touching on Mastermind tonight, for those who saw it, we had a winner who won by virtue of not having passed.
Yeah, that's how I won.
Which really shows the value of going in there with a game plan.
I'll tell you his other winning tactic as well was choosing a specialist subject that involved 18 half-hour episodes.
What was his specialist subject?
Fallen Perrin.
All right, yeah.
Now I've been refused because I've been trying to do W1A and 2012 for years, and they keep saying, "No, it's not enough of it." You know, there's more of that than there is original Perrin.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an interesting set of subjects because you had Reggie Perrin, then you had, for me, an artist I'd never heard of and a poet I'd never heard of.
I didn't know any of the categories right on. I didn't know any of the special subjects.
What would be your specialist subject if you went on?
I know Em's been on. I've been thinking about this a lot this year, but one thing that I've listened to in its entirety more than 20 times is the My Dad Wrote a Porno podcast. I can answer like what happened in first, what popped open her vaginal lids, what was the name of the dancer in Paris, Mistress Sweet Juice. I know that podcast upside down and inside out.
I can see them having issues with it. Anybody else?
Get on, Alan.
We know what that, Lindsay. What would your specialist subject be?
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
Nice.
Wow.
Best TV show ever made.
Nice.
There's a fair bit of that. Yeah.
Mine was in shorts because I've just been rewatching Magnum PI.
Right. Mine was Peter
How many
Cook.
times an episode is he wet? That would be the question. Not enough.
What was yours again?
What was mine? Mine was Lucille.
Lucille Ball. That's right. Mine was Peter Cook. Because he's the only person I could think of. Because I'm a bit of a gadfly knowledge-wise. I know quite a bit about quite a few things, but I was thinking, is there anything I know everything about? And the reason I went with Cookie is he was the only person I've read 2 different biographies of. And one of them, the book by Harry Thompson, is one of the best books I've ever read. So I've read it a bunch of times. And I revised so fucking hard for it. Because it was Celebrity Mastermind. It was about my third time of nearly getting on, because there've been a couple of occasions a couple of years previously when I've been kind of on the B list till right at the last minute, and then they go, actually no, it's not going to happen this year. And I say, see, what's been happening there is the actually famous person who they've wanted has been keeping them hanging on, and then at the last minute gone, oh, okay, go on then. So I get kicked out. Yeah, exactly. So so the thing is, when I finally got on, I thought there is no damn way I'm losing this. There's no. So I think I revised harder for Celebrity Mastermind than I did for my A levels. I really did. I revised so damn hard for that show.
My best one was Balgan, and I'm absolutely convinced if you want to win, do box sets.
Right.
Well, I mean, you've got to have something where there's defined parameters. I think that's the thing. You've got to know where it starts and ends so you can know that you've covered everything. Anything that's a bit too amorphous, you're just asking for trouble. So a box set, you're fine, because you watch all the episodes, you've got all the dialogue, you've got all the actors, you've got all the plot lines. You know you can nail it. It's a decent option as long as the box set isn't something like The West Wing or The Sopranos or something, and you're running to like 7 seasons of 20-odd episodes a time.
Exactly.
Can I just tell my series? Isn't it more likely the questions are going to be about just things that happen? Whereas if there's less episodes, you're going to get more in-depth ones of something. So maybe even The West Wing wouldn't be that bad because it would be more attainable questions than if there were only a few episodes. Maybe.
Possibly. I mean, when I first went on, the producer at the time said, if it's a broad subject, it tends to be more surface level. If it's a narrow subject, it tends to go deeper. I'm not sure if that necessarily holds, but it seems like quite a rational thing that would bear you out on that, Lindsay. Yeah.
Could I just tell the story about the money? This is quite an amusing story. Because obviously, because I was on Celebrity Mastermind, you have to donate the money to charity, because obviously, as somebody who'd just been kicked off Radio 4, I couldn't possibly actually really fucking use the money. You know, obviously because you've heard of me, I'm fabulously wealthy. Anyway, so
obviously.
But the thing is, you have to nominate a charity to give the money to, and I guess the obvious thing is to go with one of your big ones, whether your amnesties, your Save the Children, some of this. But when I actually got on Mastermind, it was about 6 weeks after my dad died, and my dad died of a very long, protracted lung disease. Actually, so he was ahead of the curve in that respect. But for the last few months of his life, he was basically bedridden. And there was this little charity in Liverpool was sending these carers round to the house twice a day. And, two big burly lads who could actually, lift him out the bed and give him a wash and everything. So, and it was the only chance that my mum got to ever leave the house ever, and they made such a massive difference that I thought, you know what, I'm nominating them. Because this might actually be a significant amount of money for them. Amnesty probably wouldn't notice a few grand, but also because they'd made such an appreciable difference to, my dad and, the last few months of my dad's life and the same time for my mom. So I put them down. And then about a couple of weeks after the show was recorded, I got my mum phoned up and she was laughing. I said, what? She said, I've just had a phone call from this charity, because they were like, Mrs. Benz just had this email saying that we've won £5,000 and we give them the bank details. They thought it was the Nigerians. They actually thought they were being fished.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it was lovely. So evidently it did make a difference. So that's good to know.
Alan and Lindsay, you've still got at least one more episode to go. So I won't ask you to reveal any secrets of what's happened. We want to decipher or discover what happens, when it comes to it. So keep that.
I'm hoping it'll be on my birthday as well. I think with the dates, it'll be on my 8th of February. It's my birthday, so that'd be a nice thing, because I had two things I wanted to do. One was reach the quarterfinals, and one was sing, and I've now done them both. So again, it's a win-win when we go in. It's just we go in the same way we did for this one, to just enjoy ourselves.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah. I think we had a great time the whole way through, but we laughed the most, I think, during the game that you saw this evening.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what happened. I was really uptight for the first match, and Emma said to me afterwards, "You're taking this too seriously."
That doesn't sound like you, Dan.
Yes.
And I think we realised as well, sort of when we came back, I certainly realised that we weren't going to win this thing. We'd already met one team who were streets ahead of us, and you're another team who were streets ahead of us as well. But we were never going to win this thing. So, we just set out to entertain in the end.
I just said to you, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
And I wanted to do that, so thank you. And
because I think also it's like if you're sort of, I'm not a quizzer. I'm just a gobshite who knows a lot, But but I remember thinking that if you are, because Dan's sort of kind of pro quizzer level does an awful lot of that kind of competitive quizzing. I remember thinking, wow, the pressure on him is probably way greater than it is on me. I'm just basically at to play this game that I enjoy, and I don't, be nice. For me, the reason I wanted to win it was so I could keep playing it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It wasn't in order to win it, in order to get any kind of trophy or validation. I thought, I love playing this game and I want to play it some more. That's really the only reason I was.
I wanted the trophy.
Well,
I do have the distinction of being the only QLL in this year. Because there were other teams that QLL members supposed to take part, but they all backed out. They were doing it this year.
Weird.
Yeah.
I've joined OQL, and I've actually got Emma Harris from the Time Ladies is on my OQL team.
Tremendous.
Which division?
Emma and Dan, is there a future for the Walruses beyond only Connect?
Oh.
Well, Emma and I don't think we'll ever be able to shake each other off entirely.
No, they can shake me off quite easily.
Do another series of very hard questions because they were teams of 3, I think, weren't they?
Yes, and very hard questions. Teams on. Yeah.
Definitely be up for doing anything else where it's a team. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's going to be this Only Connect quiz league, then I could definitely be persuaded to muck into that, just because, like I say, I just love playing this damn game.
If you go look on the online,
getting to play it on TV is cool, but I'll play it in a pub. I don't mind.
I think you've now got to the 26th of January to register. You can register as a solo player, and they'll put you in a scratch team.
We could go as a team.
I've got John Wilson from the Vikings on my team. And Paul Sinner, so I'm well ready.
Well, say hello to Paul from me. He's a good lad.
Yeah,
I was hanging out with him about it. I know him as a comedian. That's why I know Paul from. I love Paul to bits. He's an absolute sweetheart. I've known him for about 20 years.
Check it out. It's another John classic. He doesn't do things by halves.
And it has got the blessing of the BBC as well. They checked out that they could do it. The format, so it is exactly the same format, but it's called the Online Connections Quiz League. So that's definitely worth checking out via the Online Quiz League website. I
want to tell my favourite Paul Sinner story. I was giving Paul Sinner a lift home once, and we were talking about how our various careers had gone and everything. And I was talking about how I always managed to fall between two stools, and he was talking about how being gay and Indian has it. And at one point he said, "Oh, I'm very aware that I tick a lot of boxes." And we just carried on driving again. They said, "Well, let me put it this way: if Ramesh Ranganathan ever sucks a cock, then my career is over."
Yes,
I think I've heard that one in his separate. But yes, Paul is great value, an excellent comedian, and we all know how brilliant he is.
You overtake that one.
Yeah, we got one question from Grace. Grace always pops into these. Does Victoria wear a cello suit again?
We didn't know about the cello suit.
I would have been able to concentrate not one little bit.
I love that.
It looked so uncomfortable. Like it looked uncomfortable already, but then when you saw her at the wall, how far forward her neck was being pushed by the costume.
But I love the gradual reveal of that, because you think it's some kind of funny hat she's wearing, and then it's only when you see she's actually stuffed into a foam rubber cello.
A comedy Victoria Corin Mitchell Pez dispenser. That's what it looked like.
Yes.
Somebody needs to get onto that right now with the licensing program. You gear up a factory in China to produce it.
There's room for anything out there.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. We all love Only Connect, and Quizzy Monday is a brilliant kind of run of 3 programs. But it makes a real difference when you've got people who can give insights into what it's like to be on the show, particularly the show that happened that night. So really means a lot. I'm sure our viewers are appreciative. And judging by quite a number of the contestants, the comments that have come through, there's been a lot of people really enjoying it. So thanks, everybody. I don't know if there's Side Boogaloo. I just love that name, Side. I think that's
middle name's Electric.
Electric. That's his middle name. So yeah, Whodunnits. We look forward to seeing you next time round, and maybe catch up again. Lindsay's been on the stream a few times. Lindsay, Alan, you're always welcome. In fact, any of you are welcome any point. Dan, this is your second time on the stream as well. So it's just great. We love to talk about quiz. And so anything, it doesn't even have to be what we saw tonight, hence what we were talking about with Beat the Chasers. But thank you very much, everybody. Have a really good evening. And I will call an end to the stream now.
Bye.
Bye.